is Kyle. I'm here rebuilding my old computer into the 800D case. We're putting on some liquid cooling kit and basically just making the system back to normal and getting it really cool so we can overclock it. As you see, the 800D is 2 feet tall, 2 feet long, 9 inches thick. Really big case. This is an ATX motherboard. So as you can see, it really makes it look like a micro. It's a big case. We got underneath this 140mm fan, we have 4 hot swap drives for those real fast paced swapping out of your hard drives. We got floppy disk space right here. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more ROM drive space, or anything else you really want to put up here. We have ourselves right here with the liquid cooling kits, the H100. Very nice. You can fit up here on the side, on the front, top, whatever you want to call it. Fitting 120, 2 by 120. Got a 140mm fan on the bottom. And our power supply is going to go right down here with the dust catcher on the bottom. I can go ahead and clean that, washable. As you can see, we have a bunch of grommets for our power cords to come up here and be a nice clean setup. We also have plenty of grommets for water cooling if I ever wanted to upgrade to a really sophisticated water cooling system. Alright, so with the H100, I'm going ahead and doing a push-pull fan configuration. I just took 2 of my 120mm fans out of my old case. I'm going to put them on here because I'm cheap and I don't want to spend money on the new fans. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my old ones on the bottom of the H100, so that way I can put the new and faster good ones on the top, so that way these won't hinder these ones, because these ones will vacuum more air through these ones, spinning these faster if it needs to be. Otherwise these will push us through here, and since these are already faster, the air will be able to get through them without a problem. So what I'm doing right now is I'm putting these ones on the bottom of the H100, pushing the air out what will be the top, and then these will go on the bottom of this, pushing the air also the same direction, and I'll be securing the screws through the top of the case, through the top fans, into the radiator, and that will get a lot cooler temps from what I hear online, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so we got these 2 on the bottom. We're going to put these 2 on the top. Before we can do that, since we want this all to be on underneath this here, we would have to take the screw. I'll put a washer on it when I'm actually doing it. Push it through the top of the case. Push it through the fan. And then we put the radiator down here. Screw it into the radiator. There's plenty of room to do that. And, well, because it's just a huge case, you're going to have more than enough room to do that. And there's not much stress on the cables right here running from this to your motor / cooler. And it's just going to look real nice and snug. Alright, so it proves to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but I had to have my cameraman, my father, hold the radiator up so that I could get all this in there. It was just quite troublesome, but it does work. The screws are long enough. These are the default screws that come with the H100, and they show you putting their fans on the bottom of this and putting this on the radiator touching the top. And like I said, I decided to do push-pull feature, and the screws are long enough, they hook in. I'm just going to put on the bottom couple. So just to be a paranoid little fan geek, took another fan out, put it right here. My plan is to blow all of my air out the top. Heat rises, it's going to make it natural, going to make it quicker. And I'm going to suck it all in from the bottom. I don't have these fans yet, but I will be getting them. I'm going to get 2 more 140mm. I'm going to put one right here. It's going to push-pull into the board, straight up to here. I'm going to have a push-pull on this side right here. Blow it on out here, cool off my RAM, maybe even my CPU a bit. Suck it all out right there. And if y'all don't know about the 800D case, it has a 140mm fan right here for your hot swap drives, and it doesn't even blow the heat back into your motherboard. It has a side chamber underneath here. I would show you if I wasn't in the middle of building this, but it comes out the side, doesn't even come in here, it's underneath the motherboard, and it blows out through these grates right here. You can get a little shot of that. Gates right underneath my motherboard, comes right out of there. So none of this, well, okay, technically some, but most of the hard drive and ROM heat won't ever come to my motherboard because it has these little shields and whatnot on it. And that's why I got this case, nice temperature control. So we got our keys, what I call keys, these little, good shot of them. These little things right here, you put the screw onto them, make them nice and loose, as far out as you can, so you can get them all around this. These two hooks right here. This is for an AMD chipset. I got a X6 1090T Black Edition. This is why I have this. I'm going to overclock this guy from 3.2 to hopefully around 4.2. I don't know that what I'm going to get yet. So we're going to take this off, which has our thermal paste already applied. Stick the paste on here. So we got a nice little even, put it on real nice and even. Hook these around, you got your little nooks right here on the, I forget what it's called, brackets of your AMD chipset. Then we're going to tighten these down so that it's pressed nice and firmly against the processor. Not too tight, but nice and snug. Okay, so I'm just going to remove. Get your wires out of the way. Don't want them interfering. Remove the thermal paste protector. Go ahead and press down on your chip. Fit your keys around your nooks. I said, fit your keys around your nooks. You can kind of pull up on it a little bit so that you can tighten. Just get it snug in the beginning so that we can get both of them on there. Whoops. Then you just tighten them on until it's just starting to get a little hard. Don't overdo it. Don't underdo it either. Alright, see it's getting difficult to put them on there, and let her go. That sucker ain't going anywhere. Thermal paste is applied. Got a couple choices here. You got your 2-pin. You got your 3-pin. Go ahead, if you want, you can stick your 3-pin, your CPU fan. I don't know what motherboard you'll be using. 3-pin can go on your CPU fan spot, or you can just power supply that up. And I'll be doing the CPU fan because I like my motherboard to see my fan. You are now nothing but a shell, just a husk. So supposedly this here is a screwless ROM drive. I don't want you there. I want you here. Wish I had an air duster right now, but I just use basically the last. So it's going to stick out a bit there so that it will fit outside the front of the case. Push the slider to the right, lock her in. Alright, so now we got our hard drive. Hot swap bays. Never really used one of these before, but I really like the idea. And that's all there is to it, man. That is just awesome. Of course, you gotta plug in your SATA power and SATA cord. Hook them up to your motherboard. The 800D has a cool feature on just about everything. Everything in here you can just take it out and put it back in. Unlike some cases where, like, see these metal things, you'd actually just rip them out and, oh, I can never put them back in. I just gotta have a hole in my computer forever. You just push them in, pull it out, and snap right back in if you want. The face comes off. You just gotta pull this thing off. You don't. There's no special button. Nothing. So you just push it right back on. All right. Me, myself, and I have two HD 6950 Radeon cards. Right here on here. I have flashed them to 6970s. That way the shaders are unlocked and they're just a bit more powerful, and I didn't have to spend an extra 40 bucks paying for a better card. Because they are the exact same chipset, just these don't have... I think the difference was that these don't have a couple more pins that make it safer for a higher voltage. So if you do what I did and flash to a higher BIOS of the 6970, then you probably don't want to overclock. I mean, unless you take off the cooler and water cool this or something. If it doesn't have the extra pins, I just wouldn't suggest it at all. I mean, it's already a great card. There's no real reason to. Of course, I don't have just both these cards for no reason. I like to crossfire them with the crossfire bridge. Give me some more power. It's already a 2 gigabyte graphics card, and now just when it's low on fuel, the other one will provide the energy it needs. It's in nice and snug. Doesn't have those plastic clasps that fold over onto the support here. Just has these thumb screws, which I personally like because I always thought those plastic little nitwits were quite annoying. I mean, this is kind of annoying trying to get this thumb screw in there, but I mean, they break off. I mean, I had the plastic clips just break off all the time. I had 2 of them break off to me when I was just getting a dumb graphics card in there. Yep. Push her down, clip it. You know, make sure the clip is clipped. Otherwise, you do not have your graphics card placed on your motherboard correctly. Alright, so basically now we're just putting in a power supply. All these cords. Alright, so what I did is I removed all the wires that I can from the PSU. I'm going to hook in my motherboard power first. It's going to do the most direct route possible. Push it through the closest grommet. Here. See it just come on right through here. And these little flaps make sure that you can get as much air blockage from the fans that come out here so that most of it stays out of this and goes through these grates. The 800D also has this little thing so you can see the back of your motherboard if you ever need to put on certain brackets so that you don't have to take the motherboard off to do so. But if you're like me and you have an AMD, you usually don't need that. But nice feature anyways. So you gotta make sure you know which grommet you're gonna put those through to plug in. I'm gonna go with this one here and this one here. Got this guy. Here. Now this guy actually is not long enough to reach there. But Corsair is a pretty professional company, and they realize that they have a 2-foot tall case. So they gave you extenders. I'll try some. You'll hear click. I'm pretty sure that's in there. So I got this guy hooked up. And I'm going to plug this fella right on in. Actually blows. If you like me, you want it to look real nice. Bend it back on out. So I'm going to go ahead and put all these through here. I'm going to push them through the back, plug them on back on to my PSU, and plug in my fans, plug in my SATA, my ROM, my graphics cards. Alright, so as you can tell from this complete mess of wires back here, I'll have all the zip tied and looking fresh in the end, but basically that's everything plugged in. You got your USBs and your HD audio, your reset and your HD LED and P LEDs all hooked in. Boom, boom, boom. USBs, HD audio. HD audio. You got two SATAs in. Powers for my ROM drive and my hot swapped hard drive. Took out the second graphics card if you haven't noticed because it turned out to be quite the pain in the butt. So we'll put that right back in here really shortly, and then we'll start plugging in the graphics cards. And then we'll zip tie it all up and make it look fancy and then see if it boots. And really hope it boots. So if you want some proof about how big the size of this case is, it's quite huge, but here's a little demonstration. Here's my 17-year-old brother. And here's the box that this thing came in. And he fits in there real nice and snug. I mean, he's not even bending the sides. He just crawls right in there. That kid is 17. He's about as tall as I am. I'm a big boy. This is the completed build. Got our graphics cards plugged in. Everything's up, down, bottom. Everything's plugged in, looking nice and wiry. Still have them back as a complete and horrible mess. But we're just about to take it downstairs and plug her in and see if it boots. Alright, so built the whole system. It ended up that my power supply was faulty. So if you all notice, I got a new one, the HX1050 Corsair. It's very nice. They give you plenty of options for other cords and everything to hook up to here. I mean, I have like 10 different cables upstairs inside a little pouch they give you that I still haven't used and one day may use. I got my dual monitor. So obviously the first boot up did not work. That wasn't very cool. But now everything boots up real nice. As you can tell, I didn't do anything really aesthetic coolness in this one. This is kind of like my cheap build. I mean, if you call it $2 grand cheap. But, you know, some people put all the lights and dazzling things in there. That's what my next build is going to look like, but I'm also going to drop about $5,000 on that one. And that one will probably be for sale. So look me up in about 3-4 months and you could buy a very, very nice triple SLI completely liquid cooled computer. And that's all.